Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world, and welcome to a mixed scene of Living World of Darkness. We start this scene with Danica waking up rather late in the afternoon, milking a slight hangover at least, after having bested a certain bonar in a bit of mock combat. As she goes through her things, going out, getting ready to go get coffee, she notices that the jacket she had on most of last month, a little bit of a heavier jacket, has something in the pocket. And when she pulls it out, she sees a phone number. And she pauses and she thinks about it. And she tries to think of all the times that she's worn the jacket. She can't remember ever getting anybody's phone number. And she sits down, contemplates more, and then finally decides, well, screw it. She pulls out her phone and dials the number and waits a few moments before she finally hits send, and then places the phone to her ear.
Well, luckily for Danica, Eve has just left her house. Well, really her freehold. The house itself is fine. Because she's been in that freehold for about 3 days now. And it's just time to get back out in the world a little bit. It's kind of, she loves her home, but it can be a little much when you just, well, there was a good reason for it. But that's not really the subject of this, so her phone rings. Just as she's about to just pretty much go for a long, long walk. And she looks at it, has no idea what that phone number is, assuming it's not blocked.
It would just be it's a burner phone, so yes, it would just be kind of a random number.
Well, she doesn't usually get bill collectors. Doesn't matter. Answer the phone. Hello?
There's a slight pause on the other side, and on her end, Danica looks kind of confused to hear a woman's voice. Normally, a number in her pocket would mean something else. Hello? This is going to be awkward, but... Hi, I just was going through my pocket and I found a number, and I don't really recognize who gave this to me.
Been drinking too much?
Always a possibility, but I'm not sure in this case.
Okay. So I'm not sure what to do with that.
Maybe a name exchange might help?
Maybe. You called me.
Does Danny ring a bell?
I'm trying to think if she's actually heard her name before. Because I don't know if your name actually came up in the scene.
I know she did introduce herself to you in the first scene where they met.
Okay. Alright. So then she's gonna, well, to the passersby, since you're not saying this, kind of get an odd look on her face, and then sort of almost a sly grin. And you'll probably hear the grin at least a little bit in her voice, because you can usually hear a smile when someone's talking. She's like, you know, that name does sound familiar. I'm Eve.
Eve. From the concert at the park?
Yeah, I was at a concert at the park.
Okay. Okay. Um, I
So
don't
you don't remember
suppose
how you
you
got the
would.
number?
No, I'm pretty sure you didn't give me anything at the concert. I mean, I know I got a little tipsy there, but I don't remember getting smashed drunk.
Hmm. Interesting.
How would you feel about meeting up? There's a fairly nice coffee house on Fifth Avenue.
Well, as it happens, I was heading out to do a lot of nothing. So why not?
All right then.
Just
Um, I'll text you the address, and I'll be there in about 10 minutes. I don't know how long it's going to take you to get there, but if I'm halfway into a pot of coffee, don't be alarmed.
well, I mean, Eva's in Brooklyn. That's where her home's at. So I don't know how far it is, but whatever that distance would take. Um, okay, no, I don't tend to question people's caffeine intake.
Then we should get along swimmingly.
Giggling to herself at that, and you can take that as you want.
And
Oh God.
Danny will just kind of give just a very succinct goodbye, hang up the phone, and make her way. Well, getting dressed in something of a less than casual attire, probably like rolled sweatpants and maybe like a cotton hoodie or something of that nature. Not really getting too dressed up. Ugg boots, that sort of Sunday attire that you're pretty used to seeing at the grocery store. And she makes her way to the cafe. It's a cafe called the Daily Grind, and she immediately orders a like a whole carafe of coffee to be brought to her table, and she starts drinking
It's
quickly.
probably safe to assume it's going to take Eve a bit longer,
Yeah,
because Brooklyn's a little further away. I'm guessing that's Manhattan. So
yeah.
yeah, you have a little fun and whatever caffeine you want to drink there. And eventually, she does get there though. Um, she's dressed in her fairly standard thing. She's wearing like leggings, boots, a, some kind of little dress with some gigantically thick winter coat because it's damn cold out there. And usually she's wearing, and today she is in fact wearing sort of a retro-looking flower dress. And the reason for the leggings is because it's cold. Yeah. Anyway, so she wanders in there, looks around, sees Danny sitting over there, and kind of waves, and then goes up to the front to get herself something as well.
At the wave,
She
Danny
gets her.
does a little more than just she kind of raises her glass at her, or her mug rather, and it's one of those gigantic mugs of coffee.
Well, Eve is going to order an herbal tea and to get a.
And we've frozen up with Christy here.
Hmm?
Slight. Oh, there we go. You froze for just a second.
Oh, it's okay.
I didn't
You
catch
know,
any of the thing from you ordered a herbal tea.
herbal tea and a gigantic muffin because I'm assuming, like all coffee shops, it has a gigantic muffin.
Oh yeah, all their stuff says non-GMO and organic, and it all has it. The prices reflect that.
That's fine. She's not worried about that so much. Expensive here. But yeah, she gets those two things and heads over towards the table.
And Danny waits for her to settle in before speaking, and kind of just offers a friendly smile. So, placing your face to the name, I do remember you.
Yeah, I'm a friend of Alicia's.
Yeah, and she just kind of leans forward and kind of lowers her voice. Fair folk, right?
I didn't know you knew that. Yes.
Well, a friend of mine informed me, so
By the
I'm.
way, when she says, "I didn't know you knew that," if you want to roll empathy or something, you can. She's because the simple fact is, out of character, we both know she told Danny before that she's Faye.
Yeah.
So she's actually lying right there. I can roll my subterfuge. We can do all this, or you can just say that you can catch it.
Actually, what's your subterfuge score?
It would be 2 subterfuge and what was it? Manipulation, right?
No, it's wits subterfuge.
Oh, wits.
It might be manipulation. Just let me double check that.
Okay. Well, either way, because it's either 4 or 5 altogether, depending on which. Not great, but at least I have it.
And as soon as the subnet decides it wants to bring me up to the, there we go. Philodox gifts. Truth of Gaia, really? Intelligence, empathy versus manipulation subterfuge. So what's your manipulation subterfuge?
It's 5.
Yeah. 5. Okay, so difficulty 5. Yeah. Okay, so
we are invoking
I only
a
need
gift.
the one success. Yes.
Okay. So she's clearly not telling the whole truth here. In fact, she's not telling the truth at all.
And she just kind of gets this smirk, and if you want to roll your kenning, you can to obviously sense the gift being used, but she just sits back with a sort of just that shit-eating grin, so to speak, like, oh, this is how it's going to be.
I got 2, so I'm guessing I figured something happened. Maybe.
Yeah, you can probably sense, like, the that aura of wild magic. Yeah, that happens sometimes when there's bandwidth issues.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't think it's that big of a deal anyway. In this case. Okay.
So
well,
Danny's eyes have narrowed. Yeah, Danny's eyes have narrowed slightly too as she's sitting there and just kind of smirking with a half smug look.
But I wasn't lying when I said yes. That part was the truth. That part was the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't know?
Kind of a sly grin again, although you didn't see the first one. Just kind of a kind of like she thinks maybe she was just caught, and she doesn't really, and it's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, there it is.
Yeah.
And she's just like, we may or may not have had a similar conversation before.
So, how many times have we had a conversation like that before?
Once.
And of course, I'm going to have to roll that again.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, do it.
Yeah, so yeah, she sees that true, and you kind of see this, and she's not going to try and mask it. She just kind of lets out that held breath, like, okay, no more missing time.
From me, anyway.
Yeah,
We
okay.
met at a club a little over a month ago.
And here I was worried that I went home with some woman I didn't know.
If we went back to my home, you probably would not remember that either.
Well, if that is the case, then I hope you were gentle.
No, you've never been in my home. We were just at a club, and you had some
What?
friends with you. They seemed to be rather close friends, but nobody would tell me about it. But you certainly seemed wanted to want to know more information about me.
Well, curiosity, I suppose.
I understand that a little too well.
There's a purpose I have that always once drives me, I should say, to see the truth of things. And on a personal level, I like to have my own opinions formulated by first-hand experience rather than conjecture.
Okay. The problem is that in this case, first-hand experience will make you lose more of your memories. Unless, of course, unless we just talk like this. But
Is there any way to prevent that?
I don't know. I've never run into anybody who's remembered much afterwards. Like it's a dream at most.
That is problematic.
Or you could just trust what I say. It wouldn't be your own experience.
Not to impart anything or imply anything, but I have a hard time trusting people.
Oh, you just met me for the first time the second time or something. I can't say as I blame you for not trusting me.
And she just kind of shrugs it off, trying to change the subject. So tell me a bit about yourself, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Let's let's see here. I just got married a month ago.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Um, I used to surf in competitions. You can laugh all you want because this is New York, but the fact is I can be based out of anywhere.
Um, you, it's a degree of athletics that I don't have.
Well, I grew up in Hawaii, so it's a lot different.
Wow, you really are far from home.
This is home now. But yeah, we moved. My family moved here when I was 16. Um, I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. I mean, there's a lot more things I could say, but until I know what the deal is, I'm not really inclined to, tell any trade secrets.
Well, then, more to the point, I guess. What do you know about me?
I know that being this close to you feels really uncomfortable.
If you want, you can roll perception empathy here. Um, because her face comes to a certain realization. She's out of character. She's totally mistaken.
Let's see. Yeah, I was right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is.
sad is what that is.
That's a botch.
That's a botch. Let's get that off my
um,
screen. We don't need that there anymore.
So yeah, you can't really tell what she's thinking when she seems for it. She may be right on why she says what she says, but she kind of leans forward. It's a side effect of many things, but keep going if you wouldn't mind.
I've lost track of out of character. I lost track of what the question was.
Oh, sorry. The botch was just too much.
It was.
He'd asked what Eve knew about her.
I know that you have several interesting, I don't know, friends, something, because you were with a group of them the first time we met. I don't remember all their names, but I remember Luis and the woman and the woman with this southern accent. I don't remember her name.
Melly.
Yeah, that's her. And I don't know if I knew anybody else. There was someone else I think too, but I can't remember the name.
There's a whole bunch of us that roll around.
And of course, God, I forget the name. The other person who was in the at the concert that you were talking to. I met him before too, and I can't remember his name. Out of character. And him are the people I've seen you with, and you all seem to be very exceptionally close. And I know that a lot of you seem to make me feel kind of weird. That's really about all I know.
Oh, that I'm going to have to roll again on.
I don't, and I'm curious, though. That's a much better roll than mine.
Yes. Is that all she knows?
Yeah, actually. Because the only werewolf that she knows is a werewolf was not with any of you guys.
Okay. She just sits back with a smile on her face, and I'm actually going to roll my manipulation subterfuge to try and hide the fact that now suddenly there's a certain vindication that she has. God, as a Shadow Lord, I am terrible with subterfuge. I'm a bad Shadow Lord. The other Shadow Lord's ashamed.
Well, if you're going to do that, it could be worse.
Yeah, so she's trying to put on her best poker face, so you can roll empathy on that, but we'll see what you get.
Yeah. I think I might win.
Yeah, you definitely win. So what you see is a certain degree, like, to anybody else, you probably would feel that her tells on her face are so minute that they're very well practiced. But there are a few cracks that you picked up on, and you can see that there's a certain sense that now she has the upper hand. She kind of straightens her posture a little bit more. She seems to make herself a little bit more imposing, more like taking the alpha mentality of the conversation.
Okay.
And so she takes a kind of a long drink out of her cup. So then, you know Melly and you know Louie.
I've only met them once, but yes.
And I don't suppose you could be persuaded to tell me a bit more about, well, what it means to be fair.
Well, you seem to have me at a disadvantage. Because in the earlier conversation that you don't remember, and she says that kind of with an inflection of like, but I do. Take that as you want, any way you want. The reason I gave you my phone and I warned you that you weren't going to remember this the next day, so you could call me and we could possibly arrange an exchange of information. Not just me sharing all my information with you. You never said yes or no, you just kind of said we'd have to see.
That sounds about like me, she says with a chuckle.
So, since you know what I am, but seem really unwilling to tell me what you are, I think we might be at a standstill. Unless you just want to talk about my husband or, my unborn children. Which, by the way, she hasn't told you yet. You wouldn't be able to see it with the big, heavy coat.
Yeah. Immediately her sort of posture changes. She actually kind of relaxes a bit at the mention of unborn children, and I'm not even going to try and mask that because that goes back to a certain thing in her past. So she suddenly kind of reins herself in, and she has almost this I'm going to say slightly guilty look now. Like if she had her, her ears in full wolf mode, they might have gone back just slightly.
Mm-hmm.
So an exchange of information.
It is what we discussed. A possible, of course, because we don't really. I mean, there has to be a certain comfort level there first, right?
True. You've already indicated that there's not much in the way of comfort on your end.
Well,
why don't we start with that? Why don't we go with what you feel, the reason I make you uncomfortable, and then I can give you the reason I think I make you feel uncomfortable.
Okay. I can do that. It's because you're extremely banal.
I'm not that dull. And she's going by the very literal translation.
I know. I know. I get it. It's fine. It's like talking about the worm.
Stammers. Yeah. I'm fun. I do fun things.
No. I didn't mean to insult you like that. Banal has a different meaning to people like me.
Context would be nice, I suppose.
It might be, but I gave you a reason. I didn't say you were going to understand.
Well, that's fair. I'm gonna wait for. There we go. Now you're back.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hangouts. Hangout's gonna hang out. So she sits back slightly. Have you ever known anybody who gets unreasonably angry?
Yes. It has a look on her face like, well, you could just roll empathy if you wanted to catch it, and I'll explain whatever makes sense there.
All these social roles.
Sorry. She wouldn't just announce it.
I can't see that last dice. Nope. because of ones.
Ones are bad, but it's not a botch.
True. I guess you could roll your manipulation subterfuge if you're trying to hide it, and we can see what happens.
Because this look would have just kind of crossed her face.
Mhm.
It's more like it came up in her mind and then she's tamped it back down.
Okay.
So it's not like she's trying to hide it per se.
All right.
Anyway, you said something. Yes, recently.
And after they got unreasonably angry, was there just a certain sensation you had on them anytime you crossed their path afterwards?
A little. But I trust that will go away.
With us, it doesn't. With me, it doesn't.
So you think that I feel uncomfortable because you're angry all the time?
Well, she just kind of gestures, like kind of in a circle motion with her nose and her head, and you notice that cafe, there's probably a good 10-foot radius all the way around the table they're sitting at, where no one has dared to sit down. And there's tables within that range, but the kind of the fringes of that circle around them are very jam-packed.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. You say I'm banal, maybe the anger thing plays into that, I don't know.
Maybe. It's
So
actually very possible.
I should elaborate that it's not necessarily directed at anything. Certainly not you. She just kind of gives that half reassuring look.
Well, I mean, if you were going to direct something at me, this would hardly be the place to do it.
True, but I'm not in the habit of directing anger at somebody who really hasn't solicited that kind of response. Might be an
Are you
angry person
sure?
most of the time, but
Are you sure I haven't? I mean,
well, I'm gonna
I
say
remember
that you're
things you
still
don't.
here.
I could be that
Well, let
dumb.
me put it to you this way: if you had angered me to a point where that anger had been made manifest, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. In fact, I may not remember it, and there's a good chance you might not be here anymore, which would have been a shame.
Well, I will tell you that I'm not the reason that you don't remember that night. I can do that, but I did not in that case.
It's good to know. What did do that to me, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll tell you since I've already told you that before. You just don't remember it. Um, you were enchanted. All of you were.
What's it like being enchanted?
It means you see me as I really am. You can see the chimera around you.
I'm
Careful,
going to
as you put
assume
it.
that. Okay.
You see us as we really are.
I am going to roll her intelligence and what would I roll for this? put two and two together about something.
To figure out what a chimera is.
No, this is something to do with patina. I think I'm just gonna roll academics since I've already talked to her about it. So, how many dots of academics does she have?
More than me, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay.
I have 0.
Not a schoolie. It's okay.
My character is smart.
Okay, thank God.
But school's not her
Thank God I
friend.
got the 110. As you sort of say that you would see things, immediately her eyes kind of widen a bit as she seems like a light has just gone off in her head. Oh, that's so much better to know.
It also means you can be a
Eve, I could kiss you right now.
Really? Well, until a couple weeks ago, that might have been okay. But anyway, don't ask.
That's fine. It's, how can I put this? I can put someone's mind at ease now, I think.
Oh, okay. Melly, she was acting. She was really worried. She was kind
No,
of
not Melly. I haven't seen Melly in probably over 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh.
She's kind of disappeared.
Oh, well, I hope she's all right.
I'm pretty sure she is. With any luck, she's just gone back to her family down south, I would imagine. I can't see her getting herself into too much trouble.
Really? Because that night, she seemed hell-bent on getting into trouble.
Well, she was also in an altered state.
It's not like drugs. It's not like a drug. You don't get a hangover from it afterwards. You just don't remember.
I wish I could bottle that. I could peddle that pretty well.
It's a mechanism to protect us.
Well, from what?
The world, banality, everything that wants to undo us.
Well,
if we're not remembered, then no one was going to think to come after us.
That's a fair point. Are you guys constantly in danger?
Isn't everybody?
Well, depends on how you look at it. I don't consider myself constantly in peril.
There are different kinds of danger. In theory, not physical danger at the moment. The war's over now.
War?
Yeah.
Now that is interesting. And she kind of sits forward and kind of rests one elbow on the table and her hand atop that palm, or her chin on top of that palm. Now war is something I do understand. What kind of war did you find yourself in?
As it turns out, it was kind of, I wouldn't say brother against brother, but definitely cousin against cousin.
If you want, you can roll perception and empathy on Danny at the moment. Because she's definitely trying to hide it.
2. It didn't come up, but
2?
There's 2. Yeah.
3 on my part. You'll probably get that she goes a little bit quiet at that, but not much else.
Okay.
So war
Let's
with your
just,
cousin then, or cousins.
well, if you look at it the right way, most of us who fall into this group are kind of cousins, if you know what I mean. I would consider us all kind of connected, really interconnected.
Believe me, I understand that more than you probably know.
Okay. So then I suppose the next question is, what kind of being is angry all the time?
One who's subjected to fighting a war from the moment they're born.
That makes way more sense than even you realize.
One that's set to not only stand on the sins of their entire lineage's shoulders, but fight against someone who is no more at fault than a veteran coming back from a war who's might wake up one night and hurt somebody he cared about because he was stuck in a moment of trauma, flashback, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Her face just crumples. I don't even need to like roll anything at this point. If yeah, just her face just crumples and she just turns away and is trying to like force something back clearly. She grabs her tea. She takes a long drink. Ignores the muffin because her stomach's starting to get a little weird from the not feeling so good around her.
Danica's going to do something that she is programmed to do. I don't know how Eve is going to react, but she actually kind of moves onto the other side of the table and just puts an arm over Eve, trying to console her. I'm not sure exactly how banality works, if it's like,
Touch isn't any
like
worse than
Harry
being
Potter
this
Voldemort.
distance. Harry Potter Voldemort, really? No, no. It's not like if you touch,
I
it's not
don't
like she's gonna
know.
burn. She's not gonna burn because you touched her shoulder. No skin is going to come loose and fall. It's okay. It's just going to be like, oh, this
Good.
person I really just met once is touching me. It's more like that.
Okay. She, however, does it in a manner that would convey kind of a certain level of compassion.
Eva's really just stiff at this point, and she just kind of she takes a couple of deep breaths and just just trying to get back under control here. She's not
Danny
stopping Danny from
takes that.
touching her, but
Mm-hmm.
isn't really like leaning in or anything either. Is just kind of just really stiff.
Right. She'll kind of take her arm off when she stays stiff, but she'll stay in close proximity as she takes her own cup, kind of in both hands, and looks down at the sort of the concoction in the cup. About 3 years ago, I was in a conflict. It was one of those, we'll call it a border skirmish. And most of what I was up against was an abomination of sorts, and I had no problems doing what I had to do to them. But I encountered someone who fought for their side, and she truly believed what she was doing was the right thing. And part of me felt that she wasn't wrong, but the ends didn't justify the means to me or anybody I knew. And I did a pretty good job of keeping my compatriots seeing me from breaking down when I ran her through.
Eve's response to this is, as she starts to telling the story, this is a really familiar thing to her. Amongst changelings, stories are sacrosanct, I guess you could say. It's how their history is told. And it's just, they mean a lot. In fact, they kind of come from stories, you know? So this means a lot to her to listen to a story. So she paid attention to the story. She got to the end, and she's slowly unstiffening as this is going on, and she's just slowly trying to relax a little bit until to the point that finally you're seeing tears, like just like there's just the hint of shining of tears in her eyes as she's listening at the end. And she just nods, and she's like, I have this feeling that you might understand some of what's going on better than I even thought.
Jenny just kind of nods. She's being quiet. She doesn't really feel the need for a lot of or a lot of words to go with that sort of agreement. But she just kind of nods.
From our war, I think there are a lot of people affected from the things they did during the war. And I think a lot of them might be afraid to bring it up. And I know from experience just how much it can hurt, the things that happen because of it.
We're taught to deaden ourselves to it because it's never going to end for us.
It's actually incredibly terrible. I fought in our war too. And just not as much as the person I'm thinking of. And I know the guilt I feel. And I know it has to be worse for him.
The only thing I've found that helps is when somebody stands there and doesn't judge when you tell them, when you fret about it. I know if my comrades had seen me after I did what I did, they had seen how I felt about it, they probably would have, at best, ostracized me. At worst, might have laid me out next to her for being a sympathizer.
Is that because they're terrible people, or is that because it was just the heat of the moment, war stuff?
Our opponent in our war is terrible. I don't know if I could properly imply the things that they're capable of without you witnessing it or possibly experiencing it for yourself. I've seen them do things, or I should say I've seen the aftermath. And they don't have any restrictions, any rules of engagement. They don't care who they hurt. They go scorched earth, in a manner of speaking, because they feel that they need to reset everything, tear it all down, so that way something new can be made in its place. But there are so many of them that they do things that words like uncouth and horrific and any other number of words that you could relate to that just don't meet the mark.
Well, though this is an odd comment, considering the way this whole conversation started. But I'm not judging you. I can't judge anybody based on stuff like that. War just changes everything.
For what it's worth, I hope yours is over.
It is for now. But there's so many factions that you never really know for sure if it's over. Or when the new one will start, you know?
Yeah. I wish there was a lot more I could tell you. Because it seems like you do understand at least something that me and mine go through on a daily basis.
I'm not usually filled with anger. I just just spent the last few days just listening. Just listening because I'm trying to help someone cope with some stuff that has to do with this. And we can't just go out and find some shrink, you know?
Yeah, that a burden I think we both share.
But if you're just angry, I'm thinking maybe, there's anger management. She gets this look on her face like she's actually kidding. Um, because by this point it's pretty obvious that she's something that's not exactly just human.
Yeah.
But she's just not saying what.
That she actually kind of almost guffaws at you saying anger management. Oh, Eve, I have to say you're all right.
What? There's a movie about it. A really not so good movie, but a movie.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. It was what it was. She kind of sits back on the back of the booth. She just looks upwards, and she's half frowning, half grinning as she tries to kind of get herself out of this dooming, gloomy place.
Yeah, at this point, Eve would kill for a drink, and that's not even going to happen. She's gonna play with her tea
Well,
at
it's
this
funny
point.
you say that.
Oh, you can drink all you want.
Can I
It's just that it's.
roll It would be so simple for it to be just a drink. She just kind of puts her hand into the pocket of her hoodie. And well, let's see how it goes. 1, 2, 3 successes. So you can roll your perception and alertness.
I think it's 5. Oh no, 6. Sweet. I feel like I'm a well-balanced character. That would be 1, 2, 3 minus 1, so 2.
Yeah. So you don't see her kind of as she bends over. She looks like she's just going to rub her nose. You don't notice that there's a substance in her pinky nail.
Okay.
And when she inhales, that she's taken something up her nose.
Okay. If I don't notice it, I don't notice
And
it. I
after
just
that,
know
she
that
just kind of lets out a long. Yeah.
It's alright.
She lets out kind of this really long sigh.
She wouldn't have cared anyway. Drugs are like the norm over here in Changeling World. But cool. The only reason she's not doing it is because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me all your secrets. Any more than I would tell you mine.
Well, I know somebody who knows a lot of our secrets, and, well, it almost killed them. So I'm glad that we don't have to share too much to enjoy a conversation.
Although that last subject was a bit much for me. Yes. It's just been kind of it's been a really rough little bit here. It just seems like, you know, when it rains it pours kind of thing.
Yeah, as it tends to do. How jaded we both are. Isn't it wonderful?
I don't know if I'm really quite too jaded yet. I've just spent so much time
Well,
like
then, for your sake,
crying over the last few days that I just kind of feel like I'm kind of cried out for the moment. So it's these damn hormones.
what do
I
you
think it's
do?
screwing with my life.
Well, what do you do for entertainment? How do you blow off steam?
Well, I usually go like honestly, I'm kind of a party girl. I tend to go clubbing. But if I really want to escape, I go for a long, long swim.
That's ill-advisable in this weather.
So you'd think.
She kind of has that sidelong look at you as one brow is raised. So I think.
Again, I don't have to tell you all my secrets. We just had this conversation.
But I'm interested. True, but I'm just interested to know how you could bear these waters around here because I stepped into a puddle the other day and I thought I was going to die.
Well, fine. I'll give you this. Consider it a bonus. Um, Also because I'm not really exposing anybody or anything else with this, only myself. I let's just say that I'm pretty insulated when I go swimming.
Fair enough. I'll take that with a certain understanding, I suppose. It just means what it means.
It, there are other implications to be made from it, but I leave that to your excellent brain to figure out.
Excellent, right?
It's true.
Well, trust me, I know plenty of people who would disagree.
That's okay. It's something I've been trying to drum into other people too. It doesn't necessarily matter what everybody else thinks. You have to do what's right for you.
I'm a member of a health club um, in Midtown. Well, it's closer towards downtown, but it's still Midtown technically. Um,
But what about it?
and while I'm not the strong swimmer, I could definitely use the lap partner.
Not my favorite waters. Chlorine isn't my favorite, but I could do that. Most people aren't really very good enough swimmers to. Well, most of them don't. Let's just say that amongst the land people, there aren't many that want to join me.
Well, I could tell you if you're swimming in any of the natural bodies of water in this area, I wouldn't join you for all the rice in China. Um, I've seen what's in the Hudson. It's not pretty.
Oh, I don't tend to go into the Hudson. I can. I just don't usually.
Well, anybody can, you know. I'm sure Jimmy Hoffa could have. Um,
And maybe he
but
did.
yeah,
Maybe that's what happened.
the Hudson swallowed him up and never let him go.
Exactly. Something had to have happened. Maybe he
Well, he might have been
became
missed
a.
amongst the other. He might have been missed amongst the other floating corpses in the Hudson.
Well, it does seem to be quite the cool place to drop a corpse. Not that I would know. I've never actually dropped a corpse anywhere, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I watch a lot of TV sometimes, so
I
yeah,
used to.
I it seems to be what everybody thinks that's where.
I used to watch TV more. But, I don't usually these days. So you're not going to make wild guesses.
Sit down. Oh, I'm going to assume that you probably watch every, or had watched every episode of The Real Housewives of whatever county that they were in.
I've never seen a one. That's one thing that's not my thing.
Well, good. Then I don't have to drag you back into an alley and try and beat some sense into you.
Hmm. Well, I'm not sure if I'd win in a fight. I've never actually fought you, so I don't know. But I think I would have a chance of getting away.
Again, well,
What,
I'll tell you what.
the enigmas? Are we tired of the enigmas already?
Well, if we keep up with him, it's just going to constantly be this. I could go further. I could tell you more, but I can't.
Okay.
So
I'm just having fun with it
to put
anyway.
that to rest, I'll have to admit it's enjoyable. I'll um I'll put you on my guest list, and we can see who exactly has a better command of the waters at
Sure,
this pool.
we can do whatever else. It's not like I only swim.
No, but I enjoy it. It's warm inside. The water's fairly warm, and I can do that for hours and hours on end. And when I'm done, my knees and legs and everything else don't hurt.
This is that. I suppose that's a good point. Never really considered it. It's just my preference. When I was in high school, I did a lot of different sports. It just these days I tend to focus more on swimming, even if it is in the disgusting waters around NYC. Yes, I realize that they are in fact not very nice.
No, they're not. To be fair, I joined the dive team when I was in high school, and it didn't work out
Why?
for a multitude of reasons, but it was something of a show off and a bit hyper competitive. And when I came into my own, in a manner of speaking, being hyper competitive was not a trait I needed to indulge in.
This makes me wonder if you tried to beat up some person on the diving team so you could have their spot.
There's a girl that lives now in Paris, uh, where I grew up, and well, her nose is still slightly askew, um, because she got a better score than I did at a dive meet. I was kindly asked not to return to practices after that.
Kindly asked. That's interesting in itself.
By that time, that anger that I told you about started to manifest. And once that happens, people of a mundane sort tend to avoid you, and
You mean
they start to feel a bit intense.
that ring of tables around us?
She looks up and chuckles. Yeah, it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. I suppose that's one of the things I can say that pegs you as different, is it doesn't seem to make you instinctually avoid me.
It should. It should make me do that. I just seem to have this problem with curiosity. It's not the only time it's gotten me into trouble. Kind of a wry look on her face, like, hmm.
Danny will hold up both hands. don't worry about trouble as far as I'm concerned. I have plenty of examples of restraint in my background as well.
I
Like the other night, not throwing a gentleman from a moving car.
oh, right. Well, the fact that you thought of it makes me go, hmm.
He he said some things that were very distressing, and he got a little insulting, got a little mouthy, and at the time I was under the impression that he might have done something to a friend of mine. Now, after talking with you, I'm utterly convinced it wasn't him.
Can I ask what you were talking about? Since it apparently concerns me? Or at least maybe my
Well,
kind?
if
Good.
people see things around when you are around when you called it enchanting,
Mm-hmm.
it might explain why someone close to me thought they might have been drugged.
Oh, you all thought you were drugged that night until I explained it.
Would help if we could have remembered that and might have saved a certain someone from being pinned up against a car bulkhead, but it all worked out in the end. You know, he
Like
got
I
out of the
said,
car, he walked away unharmed, and
you have to understand something about my people, whatever you want to call us. We don't. The things that happen are there to protect us. The gift of us being able to do that to people is more of a specific situation kind of thing. Um, and of all things, we're just trying to protect our existence. So
if there was a way that I could advise people to be able to how to avoid that, would there be some advice you could give, or would that be prying just a little too far?
to avoid being enchanted,
Yes.
pray that you found an honest fae, because I mean, not all of us are going to be as straightforward as I am. I know far more dodgy. I know a lot of dodgy ones. Of course, that is just praying. I'm not sure who you'd pray to exactly. Um,
Really doesn't matter.
it
Is
probably
there a
doesn't.
mechanism to it? Something? Is there
You're
a
asking.
mechanism to?
Of course, there's a mechanism, but I don't. I don't really
What
want to
I'd
go
like
into
to
that.
avoid is further. Okay,
No, go
it
ahead.
would be
You can
helpful.
explain
That's all
it.
I can say.
I'm sure it would. But the thing is, if I give away our
It would keep.
secrets, then I'm giving away some of our protection.
At the same time, now that I know what the symptoms of it are, and I can connect two and two, because of my duties, I'd be obliged if someone were to have missing time or come to us hallucinating, saying they see dinosaurs walking around Central Park and things of that nature.
I heard there were dragons around
I don't
yesterday.
have the interesting.
I wasn't
Um,
there. I just heard.
but suffice it to get at is that I would be under obligation to inform them what was happening to them, and it could cause tempers to boil over if it was an incidental enchantment, so to speak.
I hear what you're saying, and I get that.
Maybe
So let me offer you
it's
a
something you should
compromise.
discuss with your... Fair enough.
Don't just assume that's what it is. Maybe call me and I'll consult or something if that will help you. I mean, if you think, because now you say you know the symptoms, so diagnose to the best of your ability and then call me. I'll do my best to confirm or deny. And you know that I think by now you might guess that I rarely lie. And when I do, it's apparently not very good.
That's... whether you can lie well or not has really nothing to do with how well, or with you. It has more to do with me. I'm very good at seeing to the heart of the matter.
I'm still telling you though. I mean, you don't know me very well, but I every time I've spoken with you, except for like maybe once that I was very blatantly not telling the truth. Um, I have told you the truth. I pretty much tell the truth most of the time. Like, it's just what I do. I'm straight. I just hate beating around the bush. If someone wants to say something, they just need to say it. I'd rather just deal with it. You can believe that or not. But my point isn't really anything to do with that. It's more the simple fact that I don't want to have to explain how it works. And actually don't have to, and although I do appreciate where you're coming from. You do have a right to know if something is happening to your own people.
I... maybe you misunderstand. I... I won't force it out of you. I wouldn't try and pry beyond this, because for what it's worth, you seem straight shooting, and that's a rare quality in mundane people, let alone people that are special.
We're special, all right.
Yeah, she chuckles.
She's
Certainly
just kind of
special.
picturing some of the people that she knows. Let's see, there's Rick the Ravenous. Oh, there's a stray shooter. Anyway, go on though. Sorry.
Well, we'll stick with that compromise. That seems like a fair one. It gives me the ability to see things for what they are and have someone to consult with, rather than just pointing a finger and saying it's those darn fair folk. But I would make a suggestion. If you know that you're dealing with somebody that's angry like me, let's say, I would highly recommend not enchanting them. Just for the simple fact that when we get really angry, we mobilize really quickly, and even some of the most reasonable ones of us can't rein in. The more becomes very difficult. And I would hate for an incident to happen over a misunderstanding.
I see your point. Nobody needs another war over something stupid.
No. No. Definitely not.
And it seems it might be best to keep open lines of communication, possibly, at least to a point, between our two groups.
She kind of winces at that. I don't know how well that would go over considering the climate of things right now.
I didn't mean we should like have a
We have
truce or
a.
become a family or anything. I just mean in policing ourselves. I mean,
Sorry, I.
generally we police ourselves. And if there's a problem, if someone does something wrong, I've seen an example recently where someone, well, we'll just say hexed another group that I know of, and she was soundly punished.
We have a similar situation where someone did something that they weren't supposed to, and I'm thinking they're in line to get a very stern punishment.
Well, I mean,
Luckily, it doesn't seem to involve any of you.
there are a lot of tricksters in amongst us. It's our nature, even me to a point. Um, in this case, it was someone who didn't realize who she was hexing. That doesn't make it any better because hexing anybody is bad. But she didn't realize who or what she was hexing. And she got in trouble
What was
anyway
she
because it was
hexing?
still wrong. Well, I don't have to keep
Would you
their
mind sharing what
secrets.
she hexed?
No, I guess not, because I don't have to sit there and I don't have to keep their secrets. Um, well, you know in Twilight, the non-sparkly ones? Them.
Her face starts to scrunch up as there is, like, you can tell she's bottling in a laugh that would literally get everybody looking at them, and she is breaking at the seams. Like, I'm not even going to roll her trying to control it because she's barely keeping it in.
Just watch this.
You've sat here this. You've sat here this whole time and not had a clue.
What? Is that what you are?
I don't think if I said no, it would make any difference at this point.
Well, that explains some things, doesn't it? No, I think that's the only one I've ever met. So I knew about. I'm not even sure how I knew what he was. I can't remember anymore. I've only met him once, but like.
What was his name? So I can go and laugh at him?
So you can go laugh at him? Well, he probably deserves to be laughed at.
Whoever
Maybe.
it is. If it's someone I'm hoping it is,
Let,
Oh,
let me just throw
please let it
something
be
out
this one
here.
person.
Do you know the name Veronica?
Can't say that I do.
Okay. It just seems like so many people just like know her. It's amazing how many people know her. She is the guilty party who is currently being. She's definitely being punished. She lost a rank and is currently having to clean for a year and a day at some of our big political places. So she
We're
was
more
quite
alike than
sadly
I ever
punished.
thought.
Hmm?
Uh, Similar punishments can be levied in my society. But, again, who did she hex?
Sorry. Sorry. I thought maybe you'd heard the story and we just didn't realize. His name's Travis.
she just like literally half doubles over laughing, and I mean it's loud. Everybody in the cafe just starts looking at her. And she's turned red in the face. Her eyes are watering as she's literally bent over, and she laughs for a good, minute and a half before
Totally
I'm
letting.
sitting back and breath.
Yeah, totally just letting her do that. It's all good because the whole thing is just ridiculous. She's seriously been trying to just going, what the hell's wrong with him this whole time? And well, Veronica's a mess, but whatever. Okay, I take it you
If
know
I
him.
ever thought that if there was ever anybody that I could imply is special beyond what we just exchanged, it would be him.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, though the time I met him, he was a nice.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He's a nice guy. He really is a nice guy. But
And I
he
know.
is. I think he's as dumb as a bag of rocks. From everything I've heard and gathered from talking to him.
I mean, I do know a couple of other things about him. Well, that's not an exact number. I mean, I've heard a few other things about him, and I'm definitely not going into some of that. But the only thing I do know is that
Given
he's he's Nathan's squire. So that made it
what
a really what?
her face changes almost instantly, like just literally someone snapped their fingers and her face is gone. Expression has gone cold. He's what?
He was Nathan's squire. Why are you upset? I'm pretty sure he still is. Maybe I don't keep track of Nathan. I really don't want to.
She pinches the bridge of her nose and picks
I'm
her phone out of her pocket.
what?
You
Why
know,
is this a
it's
big
never
deal?
enough. It's never enough to deal
Did I
with
just
one
get someone in
problem to get to
trouble?
right to a fucking.
Seriously, did I
No.
just get someone in
She
trouble?
turns. She squares off with Eve. Eve, you did nothing. Okay? All I can say is that we have certain rules, and he may have broken them. And he made his own bed.
Um, are these new rules or current rules? Like new or older?
They're just rules that are very. Given the climate, this is going to be bad.
No, the reason I ask is because this happened a long time ago. Like at least what 6 months ago, at least was when was when all that happened. So
Hmm.
if they were newer rules, or maybe I mean I don't know. I always thought it was weird that he had one of you guys, I suppose.
Okay, well, Eve is sitting there and talking. I need to roll something
Okay,
because
go for it.
Danica has been in the middle of something that's literally been taxing on her, and this is just one more thing as far as she knows.
Eve had no idea this was such a big
And
deal.
luckily, yeah, luckily for you or for everybody in that cafe, the dice gods were not with her, or the dice gods are with them, I should say. You can feel it almost palpable in her when she sort of leans forward, half sitting out of the chair, um, almost like heat coming off of her, and you can see her facial features contort in an almost unnatural way as she's gritting her teeth, and her phone in her hand is making some sounds like it's being squeezed maybe just a little too hard.
Eve at this point is like
And then she
preparing,
just,
like she's preparing to do a cantrip right now. So we're just gonna see how this goes.
but Danica finally takes in a very deep breath. You notice that some of the people around may have gotten up out of their seats very hastily and walked away. Um, And she just takes a very deep breath in and then lets it out. Okay, I can deal with this.
Are you, like, in
And we
charge
already
of
have a
punishing
place.
people?
I'm something of a law keeper. It's what I do. It's my whole purpose in existence. Um, okay. If it's old, maybe they know about it, maybe they don't. I need to confer with a few people. And hopefully it's something that is approved, and I don't have to get involved with it, and I don't have to do
Do you
anything
know Nathan?
more than...
Does Nathan have to do with this? I mean, come on now,
I
seriously.
have
If I
no
just,
idea.
like, got someone in deep shit, then I really would like to know what I just did.
I don't know Nathan from Sand.
Okay, well,
Whoever
he's
he
about as good as Sand.
is. It chuckles at that and somewhat diffuses. Um, we, as a whole, are kind of xenophobic. I don't know if you know that. Very strict rules on how we interact with other people, other special people,
That word. Seriously,
um,
that word.
other gifted people.
It's okay, it's just funny. I'm not upset.
Fair enough. Um, but if he has broken those, he needs to be dealt with. And I don't know the dynamic well enough between our two people to say whether that's a really, really bad thing, because I can tell you if it were to deal with the ones that sparkle, as you said,
They don't actually sparkle, though. I've learned this.
if it were something that I've heard as much as well. Um, if it were, say, something along the lines of that he was, and she does the air quotes, squired to one of them, it would probably mean he wouldn't have much longer to live.
If he is, I know nothing about it.
But I don't know.
I know in our traditions you can only be squired to
I
one
don't know
person.
Travis well enough. I use that more as an example than actual fact.
I understand.
Look, Eve, I need to go because this is something I need to figure out because we have one problem with one of our own being stupid beyond measure in regards to that, and we don't need another. Um, I hope
Okay.
this isn't going to change things for hanging out at the pool. Holds both hands together. I would actually really enjoy that.
I yeah, no, I think that would be fun. We should. I just I'm not a tattletale. I'm not one of those people that like tells when somebody did something wrong. I didn't know it was wrong.
It's quite possible he didn't know either. Um, you know what? In all honesty, if it's like I said, if it's an old thing, then you know what? The higher ups probably already know about it. I'm going to go to them and I'm going to say, hey, I heard this thing about Travis, and they're going to look at me and like, oh yeah, we know. It's okay. But I
Yeah,
would be
she
remiss if
thinks
I
right now.
didn't.
She thinks that you're just trying to make her feel better now.
She is. She totally is. Because in her mind, she was like, I am going to, if I see him first, I'm going to, it's not going to be fun. And she can't, she's too kind of frazzled at the moment to even try to chance it rolling for guile or anything of that nature.
Right.
Um, you have my number now. I have yours. I'll call you latest tomorrow because I have to go out there anyway. I have a class out there for something else. So after I'm done with that, we can tear it up in a lane.
Okay, sure, let's do it.
And she'll take a bit of money out of her pockets and place it on the table for the coffee. And she's actually just gonna reach out and give Eve's shoulder a squeeze as she walks by to leave.
Just
And
look up
then she
and
goes out the door with kind of a.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna kind of look up and sort of smile a little bit as she walks by, and wave.
She'll return the smile before making her way out, and she is making a beeline right for Central Park. I think there we can end our scene.
Yes.